Hey Lobos, Ben Johnson here to show you how to make a quick test in the Google Classroom. So before you start, open up a browser, go to classroom.google.com, sign in with your PSD credentials. You'll see your list of classes here. You can add a different class if you need to through the plus sign, create a class, and give that join code to the students. Once you've got the class made, then you're going to click on the class name here and go to the classwork tab, and you're going to create a quiz assignment. If you already have a Google form, great, you can use that. This is assuming you're starting from scratch. I'm going to call this practice test 4. If you had an existing test, you could just add that through your Google Drive, that Google form. I'm assuming you don't. We don't have Chromebooks, so you can't turn that on. Grade importing, I would check that, and that's going to bring those grades into your Google Classroom when they're finished. Points, due date, all those things are over here. You could create a topic like Unit 1 to put this test into. In order to write the test, you're just going to click on this blank quiz here that it makes for you, and that's going to open up that Google form in a separate window, and you're ready to start writing your test. You might give it a name to start with, so I'm just going to call this practice test 3. You could do the same down here. There's not a whole lot you can do to prevent cheating besides just sort of guilting students that they're on their honor, that they shouldn't be looking up answers or collaborating with their friends. However you want to accomplish that. Settings that you can change. If you go to the Skinny Snowman here, you can change your preferences on future tests so that you collect email if you want to, which is a good idea. You can make all the questions required. You can make default point values worth 5. And then on all future questions that you write, those will be the settings. You can go to the cog here and decide if you want to collect the email address, which on future ones that should get checked automatically. Do you want the students to get a receipt? That might make cheating more easy for them. So if you don't want them to get that their results, you can not check that. Restrict it to PSD. I would say that's a good choice. Limit to 1 response if you don't want them to take it again a second time. Do you want them to edit after they've submitted? Maybe they realize they made a mistake, they want to go fix that. Up to you. Whatever you do, don't check this last one. See summary of charts and text responses, and they'll see everybody's answers that have taken the test previously, so I'd leave that unchecked. Presentation, you might shuffle the question order to discourage cheating a little bit. I don't know that it'll help a whole lot, but up to you. Show a link to submit another response if you want them to redo the test. They can do that. Under the quizzes tab here, of course it's automatically made a quiz because it was in the Google Classroom. We don't have the Chromebook, so you can't lock it. Then you can decide do you want to release their results immediately, or do you want to wait until after everybody's finished and you review those? And then once you release their grades, what do you want them to see here? So you might choose just to release a test, an answer key after everybody's done. Really up to you. And then you'll just hit save. Okay, and at this point you're ready to start asking questions. I always ask for the student's name and choose short answer there. And there's no correct answer, but I would require that question. You can look it up with their email address, but more convenient just to have that there to begin with. Don't need to go to the answer key here because there's no correct answer. At this point we're ready to start adding questions with the plus button. So who was the first president? The default is multiple choice, but just so that you know, it will grade short answer. You just type in the answer. Paragraph or essay questions you're going to have to manually grade. It will grade multiple choice questions. Checkbox drop down. It will not grade file upload, but you could have students attach Word docs, pictures they've taken, CAD drawings they've made, whatever sort of file you want them to upload. It will grade these linear scale, multiple choice grid, and checkbox grid. That could possibly be a more efficient way to write some of your questions. If the question stays the same, but then the different sort of sub-questions vary slightly. I haven't used these a whole lot. You're welcome to experiment with them. I doubt you're going to use date and time questions, so I'm not going to go over those. So then you'll type your choices here, and so we can type some distractors, the correct answer, and some more distractors. You can put pictures of these things just by clicking on the picture box here and doing a Google image search if it's a common thing. So I think that was Abe Lincoln. And so we can add a picture of Abe Lincoln to the test. If you're a math teacher, you might do that with some of the equations and things that you have. So just remember that that's a possibility. Again, math teachers can use Desmos and so forth through the Google form, so feel free to do that if you'd like. You can add movies here with the add video. It's separate from the question, but you could have it preceding the question if you didn't shuffle the question order with that option. So in the answer key, it's really important that you visit that for each question and you mark the correct answer. There can be more than one correct answer, so you can mark as many as you want, and then you can change the points if you'd like to. You can give feedback just directly by typing it or adding a YouTube video. Maybe it's a math problem, and that's going to be really helpful since you're not there to do the test review with the students necessarily. And then at this point you would just continue to add just as many questions as you want. And just to give you a sense of how you would do that with a short answer question, you could then just go to the answer key and type in all the correct answers. I believe it's case sensitive, but I'm not positive, so I would just go ahead and type both versions unless you want to test that out, and that's okay too. Again, you've got the feedback, and this mark all other answers incorrect. I guess you would check that, and then we'll just go ahead and hit done. And so that's how you would add a short answer question, but again, it'll grade all these other types except for paragraph, file upload. I think it will grade all of the other ones, but I suspect that there will be a lot of multiple choice and short answer questions on your test. In terms of discouraging students from looking up the answers, probably the best way you can do that is just think about how you're going to word the question in a way that a student might not be able to just Google the answer, and so that'll take some creativity on your part. As far as getting the answers, well, to change the look of your test, you just go to this paint palette here, and you can choose an image for the test depending on what the subject is or the season. You can do all of those things, a color. Other options that you might want to look at. I wanted to mention briefly down here, there's this new import questions feature, which is nice so that you can make a final from all your unit tests, but all these other things are pretty self-explanatory, adding images to the test, movies, and then this section might be useful if you decide you want to make a branching quiz so that students who get an answer correct will go to a harder section. Students who miss a question will go to an easier section. So lots of ways that you can customize your instruction, tailor it for your students if you want to go to that extent. To get the answers, you can always just go to the Google Classroom gradebook once students have finished, or what you'll want to do in this case is come back to this Google form and go to responses, and then as students submit that, they'll show up down below, and you can review that by clicking through the students, and then once you've done that, that'll prompt to send the email out to the students with their results if you check that option. The other thing that you might want to do is click on the spreadsheet option so that it makes a spreadsheet with the results in addition to being able to view them in the Google Classroom. And so if you do that, it's going to make a new spreadsheet, and it's going to show up here right next to the form, and as students take that test, their results are going to come in to the spreadsheet, so it's just a sort of a backup copy of the answers, if you will. To finally deploy that in your Google Classroom, after you've written it, you're just going to go ahead and after you've chosen all these options, just go ahead and assign that. And then students will be able to take this test. They'll go to your Google Classroom. They'll find that test. And I misnamed it. Apologies for that. And then they'll just click on that, and they're ready to begin taking that test. And then as soon as they hit submit, automatically graded, grade goes into the Google Classroom gradebook, into the spreadsheet, and ultimately back here into the Google form responses that you can click through to release those scores if you selected that option. So that's a real quick and dirty how to make a test in Google Classroom. Thanks for watching this episode. Write an email if you have any questions. Thanks.